Hey everybody, welcome back to the Rust is Gold Racing Podcast. Back here at the Rust is Gold Roastery. I am Stephen Phoenix Maes with
Maes and Hollywood, Garcia.
Are you excited about doing some flat track again? I know it's been a while.
The tricky thing is one, you got to get the bike up and running again because it's been sitting for about a year.
Down the way, not too far, an old-time rockabilly coffee bar, wrecking machine tucked in the back, Elvis singing about a Cadillac. I'm on a BSA, been riding all day, leathers on, goggles too, triumphant and don't know what you wanna do. My boys are on Ducatis, happy now all the while. Yeah, these are rockers, it's their style. So let's ride, so let's ride, so let's ride.
The second thing is we don't have anywhere to practice, which kind of sucks.
That really sucks.
Like last year I went in so freaking cold because I hadn't ridden flat track for probably almost a year before that.
Yeah.
And just to get your bearings underneath you and get the feel of that rear tire sliding out and stuff like that, man, it's just, you need a couple days.
Yeah. I have an idea.
Okay.
We take the truck and we get like a grate and we drag it around Montes over there. I'm kind of not kidding. And we kind of just smooth it out a little bit. It's the closest thing we're going to get.
Yeah. I mean, I think just going to Montes is pretty good as it is.
Have you been out there recently?
About a year ago. Well, actually, no, about 6 months ago.
I was out there a couple of weeks ago and it's a mess.
Yeah. It's always a mess.
They've been going out there on ATVs and like cutting ruts.
Yeah.
Like the kids are goofing around. So,
yeah.
I mean, it might be worth just spreading it out just a little bit.
Yeah. Do you have a grate?
No, but we could probably get Carl or somebody to hook us up with something from the construction company. Yeah, I think so. Carl would be down for that.
Maybe.
If he's not mad at you.
Well, I'm going to talk to Carl about the bike anyway, so. But yeah, man, I'm excited. Four Corners is always fun. It was kind of tricky to get Trevor on the podcast, to be honest with you, because I know he's a super busy guy.
Yeah.
So we were going back and forth for probably about a month, and then we had, other podcasts lining up and stuff like that. So, I'm excited to talk to him. He's got it's a great rally. It's very family friendly, which I enjoy, from being a motorcycling long enough. And, I think he's kind of, he's onto a good thing. And Durango's beautiful, man. Anytime you get up to Colorado and Durango, you're set. If we were only like multimillionaires and we can have a little condo up there, that would make it even better.
I know. I might have to throw my fly rod in. Might have to take a little early morning fly fishing jaunt while we're up there.
I mean, there's a million things. There's hiking, mountain. I mean, it's just, Durango's beautiful, man. It's just so beautiful. So if anybody out there that we know has a condo that wants to hook us up, we're still looking.
Airbnb.
We're still looking for a place to stay when we get out there.
Cool. Well, let's hop into this. All right. Well, this is going to be a cool one, man. There's a big event coming up in Colorado in September. You went last year, Four Corners Rally, and I'm kind of excited to go check it out this year. You had a great time, right?
Oh yeah. I mean, Durango is it's beautiful. I mean, the whole event is put on really well. It's one of those events that you don't necessarily have to be a motorcycle guy, right, to enjoy.
Or a gal.
You don't have to be a racer. You don't have to. I mean, it just kind of fits every type.
Cool.
Especially being that it's in Durango, one of my favorite places in the world.
Durango's beautiful, man.
Yeah.
So who do we have with us today?
We got Trevor here. Trevor he's been taking over the Durango Four Corners event for, I think, what did we say, like 7 years?
9.
Okay, 9. Yeah.
Wow. Going on year 9.
9 years probably feels like 100. And then he also owns the Harley dealership down there in Durango too, and a couple other dealerships around town. But we're stoked to have you on, Trevor. Thank you for making time. I know you're a super busy guy. And we also know how difficult it is to carve away, 45 minutes to an hour leading up to events like this.
Yeah, Trevor Bird, thanks for coming on.
Guys, it's a pleasure and really excited to visit with you guys and talk motorcycles and rallies and whatever else might come up in the conversation. So thanks for having me.
Yeah, thank you, Trevor. You live in Durango, correct?
Yeah, my family and I have had the pleasure of calling Durango home for the past 9 years. I got here in May of 2017, and my wife and 2 kids, which were 4 and 6 at the time, they got here at the very end of June of 2017. So we've called Durango home for almost a decade now. Yeah. It's been quite a journey.
You've seen it change. I mean, I've been going to Durango for years, and the changes and the amount of houses being built and everything is just insane.
Yeah. It has been, it has changed a lot since 2017. I wish I could say it was all for the better, but sometimes you just got to roll with it, right?
That's the world right now, just the way it goes.
Where did you move to Durango from?
Yeah, so I was actually born and raised in a small community just outside of Austin, Texas, called New Braunfels. And what was really cool growing up in New Braunfels is very similar to what Durango is right now. It's about 16,000 people, two rivers, very tourist-driven economy, but still had that small town community feeling. Since then, San Antonio and Austin have kind of eaten New Braunfels alive. But so we moved up here from New Braunfels, Texas, and it's been a great adventure.
Awesome. Well, we assume you've been riding since a kid out there in Texas, right?
You would think so, right? But no, I was actually 19 was how old I was when I got on my first motorcycle. I grew up in a family where you didn't even mention the word motorcycling. It was just not even an option. It wasn't up for a discussion. And so I was 19 when I rode my first motorcycle, and believe it or not, it was a Harley-Davidson Deuce, which I wouldn't recommend as being a first bike to ride. A great bike. I actually still own a 2003 Harley-Davidson Deuce, but yeah, 19 before I rode my first bike, and just never looked back after that.
Okay, so Austin has a great scene with the Hand-Built Show and Moto America and the whole thing. Were you going to those events too? Were you kind of around that motorcycle scene?
100%. Oh yeah. So I've been in the Harley Davidson dealer network for 25 years, a little over half of my life, and had a great opportunity with a family that owned Alamo City Harley Davidson in San Antonio, Texas. Got out of college. I did the corporate thing for a couple years and just felt like it really sucked my soul right out of me. I wasn't built for corporate America. I was hanging out with my best friend at the time. His dad owned Alamo City Harley Davidson, and he's like, "Hey, we need some help. We're growing. While you're looking for a real job, why don't you come and help me out?" And here we are 25 years later talking to you. So going up to Austin, Rot Rally, all those great events. I've got pictures and video of my son when he was 2 and 3 years old, going to the MotoGP races and Moto America races and F1 races out there at COTA. It definitely missed that part of living 45 minutes from Austin. That was really neat being able to enjoy all those events down there.
Yeah.
Well, I've been to San Antonio a couple of times, and it's a really, really cool town. But what is the motorcycle scene like?
It's incredible, man. It's so great. It's kind of interesting because I'd want to say we have year-round riding, which, I mean, we do, but in July and August, when it's 104 degrees for, 30, 40, 50 days in a row with 100% humidity.
Yeah, the
it was
humidity
interesting
is a killer.
because we'd see a little bit of a drop-off in the peak summer with riding. But the riding community out there, the Texas Hill Country, I feel a little biased with the riding that we have in our backyard here in Durango. I think is some of the best in the country.
Yeah.
But the Texas Hill Country is a pretty beautiful place to ride a motorcycle as well.
So as you're, working at this dealership, what did they have you doing initially?
So I still have my first Harley Davidson dealership business card sitting right behind my monitor here. And the first title I was given was dealer development. So the family at that time owned one location. It was the old Alamo City Harley Davidson, and it was like an authentic bike shop. I mean, it was an old kind of worn down warehouse type building, and all these mazes and rough and tough. Like, it was great. I mean, when I started working for that family, the dad said, "Look, I want to start an authorized Harley Davidson rental program where customers can rent bikes. I want to start a motorcycle safety training program, and I need to get email addresses for my employees. Can you help me set those 3 things up?" And so that was kind of right out of the box, my initial job. I started in November of 2001 with the family, again, one dealership. By 2006, we actually had 4 locations. We opened up a t-shirt, little boutique t-shirt shop on the San Antonio Riverwalk, which is still there today. We opened up Javelina Harley Davidson, which is off of I-10, just outside of San Antonio in a community called Bernie, Texas, which is right at the foothills of the hill country. And then in '06, we opened up Green Harley-Davidson in New Braunfels, Texas, and it's named after the oldest dance hall in Texas, Green Hall. It's spelled Grune. So it was really neat to be in my early mid 20s and, help a family business scale from, 20 something employees to over 120 employees in a matter of 5 or 6 years. So that my job was not really in the operations, day-to-day operations of the dealership. It was more helping the family grow the business, which was really a neat job.
And I'm guessing this time you're probably starting to see the way the machinery works and the operations and payroll, and you're getting probably privy to the whole thing, right?
Well, yeah, and really it was in 2008 when we, had the Great Recession, and things got tough. I mean, things got really, really tough. And, I remember moving my little desk back to our accountant's office, and for about a year, I took all my accounting classes pass fail in college. I was not a big fan of accounting, but somebody said to me, like, hey, accounting is the language of your business. And if you don't understand the numbers and the language of your business, you're going to be out of business. And in '08, that was a very true statement. And I think it's still true today. So whether it was the back office accounting, marketing and events has always been where my passion has lied, of bringing community and bringing people together and shared experiences. And then I remember in '08, the dad telling me, he's like, hey, you got to go down to the Green Harley-Davidson location and let the general manager go. And I'm like, well, what are we going to do without Larry? Like, if we got to have a general manager. He's like, yeah, if you want a job, you're the new GM. I'm like, but I've never even sold a motorcycle. You want me to be a general manager? He's like, you want a job, you better figure it out. And I did. And it was great. It was a great experience. And, one of the things I love about this team here and getting to lead this team is that there's not a single job in this dealership that I haven't done myself over the last 25 years. And so it's great if I got to jump behind the parts counter, help out on the service counter, ring somebody up with a t-shirt, help out with the bike sell, like being able to have all of that experience working throughout the dealerships over the years, I think has really helped me as a leader. And just, we at Durango Harley-Davidson, there's no such thing as that's not my job. I mean, if the bathroom has been destroyed, I'm not going to go ask someone else to clean it. I'm going to grab a mop and whatever else is needed, and I'm going to go clean it up. And everyone else that works here at the dealership has that same attitude, that whatever it takes to make sure our guests are having a great experience, that our riders are being taken care of, the whole team is bought into that type of mindset, which is really cool.
Yeah,
that's a big thing that a lot of people really forget that own business, is like that customer interaction and the ability to not just lead, but lead by example, and going back to what you were talking about, the dealership in Harley-Davidson in Texas in that time, especially like the early 2000s was a tough time for motorcycles just in general. But Texas seems like such a big, like Harley-Davidson kind of state. Was it even tough for you in Texas at that time?
I mean, when I first got started in 2002, Harley-Davidson was just starting to tease the 100th anniversary, which was 2003. I remember picking up Fortune magazine, and Jeff Lusing, who was the CEO of Harley-Davidson at the time, was on the cover of Fortune magazine. I mean, Harley-Davidson was kind of the darling of Wall Street at that time. And,
yeah.
And during the 100th anniversary, I mean, it was a really interesting time to be involved in the motorcycle industry, because there was more demand for the motorcycles than the number of motorcycles being produced. And so it was interesting to see it go from this super high of, I mean, you had to really work to screw things up at that time. People wanted what we had. They were willing to pay whatever it took to, then you go to '08, '09, 2010, where the whole market just changed dramatically. And since then, we've seen so many changes with Harley-Davidson. If I look back over the last 5 years, we had a CEO that is probably a really good businessman, probably a good CEO. He was not the right CEO for Harley-Davidson, though.
Yeah.
And what's interesting is he was a writer. Our current CEO is new to writing, and a lot of people gave him a lot of flack about it. But, if you look back at the last 5 years of our brand and how many dealerships across the United States closed their doors. And some of these were like second, third generation family businesses that just, they couldn't cut it anymore. To where we are today, we got a new CEO back in October. His name is Artie Stars. And I will tell you, this man is one of the most authentic, genuine, hardest working leaders I've ever met in my life. He was actually here just 2 weeks ago and bought a new Super Glide from us, which was really cool to get to sell the CEO of Harley a motorcycle. But, going back to your question, yeah, I mean, in Texas, it was a little bit of a roller coaster. But the motorcycle community down there is really strong. One of the things I remember before I took the job, hanging out at the Harley dealership at Alamo City Harley-Davidson, and this was one of my first like really core memories of Harley-Davidson. There was a group of about 4 or 5 banditos, and they were standing around a motorcycle with the district attorney, the mayor of San Antonio, Howard Peak, and the sheriff of Bexar County, which is where San Antonio sits. And I just remember looking over there and I'm like, these guys, as soon as they cross over the parking lot onto that public road, they're basically mortal enemies, right? The sheriff's trying to arrest the banditos, the DA's trying to prosecute them. But they were at the dealership, and it was really this moment of, it doesn't matter if you're an outlaw or law enforcement, if you're a janitor, if you're a CEO, that the Harley-Davidson brand was like this great equalizer. It was all about the motorcycles. It was about the freedom, the adventure, and the independence that those motorcycles represented. And at the dealership, it didn't matter who you were, race, color, none of that mattered. It was all about the motorcycles. And that was so attractive to me, to be in a place where everyone was accepted and welcomed. And it was all just this common shared passion of freedom and adventure that everybody had. So yeah.
I think, that's going back to like your shop in Durango. We go to motorcycle shops all the time, and I've been to every, kind of different, from dirt bike to BMW to Triumph and whatnot. The thing that I liked about going into your shop in Durango that I noticed is, as soon as you go in there, one, it's got this big presence to it. So you walk down those stairs and you have motorcycles kind of everywhere. It's very clean. It's very bright inside. But then all the customer service people, all your customers all your salespeople, they were just really kind and nice. And like everybody would come up and approach you and talk to you. And I think that's kind of a testament to how you've kind of grown up in the industry and you've built your shop a certain way that feels very kind of like welcoming and organic, in a way that, like, we talk about this, not every dealership feels like that. And it's not necessarily Harley or BMW or Triumph or whoever else or Honda. It's just every dealership has a different feel. And I think, you being able to create that environment has led your business to be successful. That was intentional. I appreciate
you saying that.
Right?
Yeah. And, I'll be honest, it took me like 6 or 7 years after owning the dealership for 6 or 7 years to like finally come to the realization that you were the owner. I mean, I just, coming up through the industry the way I did, and in all reality, there's no logical reason why my wife and I would own a Harley dealership. We did not have the financial means by any stretch of the imagination to go and buy a dealership. I had worked really hard and been very, very successful with the family that I worked for down in Texas. I had built great relationships with some of the executives at Harley-Davidson Motor Company and Harley-Davidson Financial Services. And for whatever reason, they believed in me enough to say, we want you to have your own dealership. And, my wife and I, our faith is it's everything to us. And I mean, the company that owns Durango Harley-Davidson, the name of the LLC is actually ASH Motorsports, and ASH stands for Always Serving Him, being our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. So we really look at the dealership as a place. One thing I want to preface this with is, as a Christian, I believe that I'm not to have any room in my heart for judging anybody. Who you pray to, who you sleep with, who you vote for, I don't care. Doesn't matter. I'm here to love you and support you, right? But we really look at the dealership as a place to share that love with everyone that walks in the door. We look at our team as family, and it really is a family. I mean, this team it be kind of small, but they are mighty. And they care, and they are so passionate. And, you know, our core values, we call them our tips, and it's teamwork, integrity, passion, and service. And we talk about them every day. We start every meeting with values in action, where employees can recognize, hey, man, Joe was out there off the clock this morning before he opened, picking up cigarette butts in the parking lot. No one asked him to do it. And, you know, just little things like that. And it kind of reinforces that behavior and modeling that behavior. And everybody's bought in on it. And it's made a great difference. And I love that was the experience that you had when you came through the doors.
Well, you know, it shows, you know, and I think your ability to work your way up from the ground up, right? You learn those lessons early and then you apply them. So talk to us a little bit about that transition, about you moving to Durango and then actually deciding to kind of get this dealership. Like, how did all that land up?
Well, again, it really was a God story. In Texas, you know, we were selling about 2,000 motorcycles a year. It was a lot, you know, it was big business. This dealership in 2016 sold 120 motorcycles. And I had a friend in Dallas, Texas, who had called me up, and he knew the motor company had given me the green light to buy my own dealership, and they were going to help out with the financing and all that. And he said, hey, have you ever heard of Durango, Colorado? I said, no, man, I know Denver and I know Steamboat Springs. That's my whole Colorado experience. He's like, I really think you should go check it out. It's really a magical place. I think the dealership there's a lot of opportunity. And so I got the sales packet or broker's packet, and I was looking at the numbers. I'm like, man, 120 bikes, like this thing ain't going to be able to pay for itself, because I've got to take out all these huge loans for the real estate and to acquire the company. And we came up here, it was December 4th of 2016. And my wife and I really looked at it as more, our kids were like 3 and 5 or something like that at the time. They were pretty young. And it was more like, hey, we'll get grandma and grandpa to watch the kids for a couple, 2-3 days. And let's just go visit this Durango town. And while we're there, we'll check out the dealership. Right. And we weren't very serious about it. When we came up here and we met the owners, there was just kind of something about walking around the dealership. It just one of those feelings. I don't know really how to explain it. And as I started to look into the numbers a little bit more, I'm like, man, like there is a lot of opportunity in this market. And what really surprised me was the number of riders that come through this area on an annual basis. Mm-hmm. Like I remember my first summer in 2017. This was pre-COVID, but we had people from Switzerland and Australia and Austria and Germany, and I mean, all over the world that wanted to come and experience the American West and ride the $1 Million Highway and ride Route 66. And so I'm like, man, there's more opportunity here than I think we're seeing. As we started to go through the process of purchasing the dealership, my wife, all of her family is in Texas. She's comes from a big family. They're all really close, which is great. And she really wasn't very excited about leaving Texas. The day that it came to write the check to put into escrow, which, if you back out at that point, you lose that money. And I've never written a 6-figure check in my life. And I'm like, I remember I came home that day and I'm like, I can't do this. I just can't. Like, we've got a good thing here in Texas. I've got a good job. We have our family here. And that day she had 3 different experiences that you just can't call them coincidences. And she was like, no, you're writing that check and we're doing this. And I was like, what? I'm like, this is such a, 180-degree turn from where we were just a couple of days ago, where I thought she was ready to, as soon as I said, we want to bail, that she was like all about it. And she's like, no, she's like, I believe that we're being called to move there and we're going to do this. And, the first couple
well, you touched on something.
Tough.
I just want to go back to something, because you touched on something earlier. You were talking about, never being to Durango, and, you have family and you have roots in Texas and you're kind of set there. I don't want this to sound like too weird or controversial, but there's such a cultural difference between Durango and San Antonio or anywhere in Texas, right? Huge. So what was that like to go from, a more, I'm going to say, moderately conservative area of motorcycling and politics to go to someplace like Durango, which is like, it's like the weed hippie capital of Southern Colorado. You know what I mean? It's like, you get a lot of, upper class people going to ski purgatory, and you got, like high-end homes, and you got all kinds of stuff. But what is it like to go to two different places like that and not be familiar with it?
Yeah, no, a total culture shock. But I think it was a good one though too. I mean, it was tough, and if I'm being just totally transparent, there are days that it still is tough. Texas is a very small business friendly environment. I mean, all the support they give to small businesses, the regulatory environment, the tax environment, it all leans in favor of small businesses. And I have no problem saying this on a public forum. Colorado, and especially Durango and La Plata County, they are not small business friendly at all.
Neither is Albuquerque, just so you know.
Yeah. And one thing I've learned though, is I've got to be a little careful with how vocal I am about that. Yeah. I mean, I don't mind saying it on here, but I don't go post that stuff on social media anymore because
it's a business.
It is a business. And I respect everyone's personal beliefs and politics. And, that's what I love about America, is that we can hopefully agree to disagree. Unfortunately, these days, people don't seem to find that middle ground as much anymore. But I think it's been overall a good experience. I do see sometime down the road in 15 to 20 years, probably getting our Texas residency back eventually.
Well, that's the thing about Texans. I hate to interrupt you, but like everybody I know from Texas, they love Texas. You know what I mean? They are bred and born Texas through and through, and they always want to go back to Texas. You could be in Hawaii. And they're still going to want to go back to Texas.
I even remind my kids still today. I'm like, both of you were born in Texas, and your roots are always going to be in Texas. But one of the really neat things about living in Durango has been raising our kids up here. Yeah. They were 4 and 6 when we moved up here. My son just turned 14. Our daughter's about to turn 16. And, I just think about the experiences that we've had, the adventures that we've had, the challenges that we've had to figure out as a family. And that was one of the very challenging out of the gate, is moving to a community where you have we didn't even know a doctor, we had 2 young kids. We don't have a doctor. We don't have any family. The only 2 people we knew in Durango were the previous owners, and they were in their early 70s, and they were leaving town as soon as they sold. So it was a lot when we first moved up here. But as a family unit, it really made us dependent on one another. And even though the kids were really young, we had to figure it out together. And then I look, my son, he's been competing snowboarding on a national level professionally since he was 9 years old.
Yeah. He's not doing that in San Antonio.
Yeah, he never would have done that in San Antonio, right? So, I've got a picture here on my computer monitor of my entire family on 4 dirt bikes out at this ranch outside of Durango. And maybe we would have been riding dirt bikes together in Texas, but it's just raising our kids here has been a real privilege. It's been really, really cool to be able to do that.
It's hard not to fall in love with Durango for all the outdoor activities and the views. I mean, you can go to freaking Taco Bell and then see a beautiful view right behind it in the river right there. You know what I mean? It's like, I could see the attraction, but with that, so you're coming into Durango, you're getting the dealership off the ground. Let's move it over to the rally. I mean, this is it. The Durango Four Corners Rally is the big thing that they do there every year. How did you get involved with that?
So I'll tell you a quick little backstory and then circle back to how we got involved in the rally. When I was in Texas, for 10 years, I was a licensed boxing promoter. I brought the first professional mixed martial arts cage fights to San Antonio, Texas. The biggest event we did was at the AT&T Center where the San Antonio Spurs played and where my wife actually worked. I ran a nonprofit for George Strait and 5 very successful local businessmen in San Antonio called For the Love of Kids and Harleys. It was really cool. These guys would go on this big annual Harley motorcycle trip down to Mexico every year, and they were sitting around the fire one night and they're like, man, we've been blessed with this great success in our businesses. What are we doing to give back? And they formed For the Love of Kids and Harleys. I will say, when you have George Strait as your guest auctioneer, it made it pretty easy to raise $250,000 in one night. Yep. Everybody all the big companies wanted to spend however much it took to get a table up front. what always blew me away is we would donate like a Sportster, and we'd get like maybe 9-10 grand for the Sportster, which was about right. That's kind of what we were hoping for. And then George Strait would walk out on the stage, and a pair of boots that he probably took out of the box for the first time before he got in the limo, walked out on stage, and he'd auction his cowboy boots off, and he'd get like 20-25 grand. The trick was you got to get backstage and meet George, and he'd autograph him and get your picture with him. So long story short, had done a bunch of huge concerts, boxing, events. We moved up here, and I was like, I'm done with the event business. I'm done. And within the first 30 days of being here, all these people started coming to me going, hey man, the Four Corners Motorcycle Rally is like done. The guy who's running it, he owes everybody in the community a bunch of money. He's tied up in these lawsuits, and there's not going to be a rally this year. And we've got to have this motorcycle rally. It's got to keep going. I'm like, man, come on. Like, so I start looking into it. And ironically, the guy who is running the Four Corners Motorcycle Rally, he didn't actually own the intellectual property. So the trademark Four Corners Motorcycle Rally, the website domain, and the Facebook page, that was all they had at the time. It was a guy with the Ignacio Chamber of Commerce who owned that. And so I went to him, and we negotiated a deal, and I bought those assets from him. I brought in a partner the first few years, and that unfortunately didn't work out very well. But about 5 years ago, I got a new partner, and we've got a team. There's 5 people that make up the Four Corners Motorcycle Rally team, and they're spread out all across the country, from Virginia to Nashville to California to Fort Collins. But they are an incredible team. I mean, just really talented individuals. And one of the things when we took the rally over in 2017, I never got to attend the old Four Corners Motorcycle Rally in Ignacio. I've heard a lot of great things about it. I've also heard a lot of really bad things about it, right? It was a mandatory run for a couple of the OMGs. It was all the things that you kind of think of when you think of Sturgis, or,
Right.
the wet t-shirt contest where there may or may not be t-shirts involved and all that stuff. And at the time, my daughter was 6. My wife's really involved in the business. I said, guys, if we're going to do this, I want a motorcycle rally that families can come and attend, that kids can come and attend, and that our community can be proud of. So we're going to focus on great racing events, great bike shows, great attractions, great music, great vendors. But we're not going to do, I mean, I'm people think I'm a little crazy. We don't even have bikini bike washes, because I wanted this to be about the riding. We have some of the best riding in the country right here in our backyard. And I wanted it to be about community and about family. And the first couple of years, I caught a lot of flack about that. Like, dude, it's a motorcycle rally. Like, it's supposed to have all that stuff. But I'm like, man, you go to Sturgis. Like, I get it. I go to Sturgis every year. I love it. My wife and I go up there and have a blast. But like, we're going to do this way, or we're not going to do it at all.
Hey everybody, it's CJ from Parnell Law. And if you ride, you already know. It's not if you'll have a crash, it's when. And when something does happen, having the right people in your corner makes all the difference. At Parnell Law, we've built our practice around helping this community. No gimmicks, just straight answers. So if you're hurt, call Bert, 332-BERT, or visit hurtcallbert.com for more information.
And I really feel that, looking back on our 9th year now, like, that has actually served us really well. And for the community, not everybody, but I would say the majority of the community, to get behind us. And even if they don't like motorcycles, I mean, I've been in the hospital visiting a friend and had a nurse in the ER be like, oh my gosh, I took my kids to your event. None of us ride motorcycles, but man, my kids got to see the wall of death, or they went and saw the ball of steel, or we went to the flat track races Saturday night, and it was like the coolest thing we've ever done. And like, it just makes my heart happy.
So how
how
was that first year when you took it over? Was it, decent turnout, or was it rough? Did it kind of scare you that first year?
It was rough. I mean, our first year, honestly, we partnered with Hot Bike Magazine. We had a hot bike motorcycle show in the parking lot of Durango Harley. We had like maybe 4 or 5 vendors at the dealership, a couple bands, and then we had a party downtown on Main and 10th.
Yeah, I was curious because, you take
was
something that was like that sort of iconic that, is one of the bigger ones in the West, and you change it. You change the whole ideology and the whole, attack mode of how you're going to make this happen. I can imagine that, it's tricky for some people. They're not sure, what to expect.
Yeah, and we still have some big challenges ahead of us. Like right now, we don't have camping on site at where the rally takes place, and that's the number one question. Hey, my buddies and I are coming in. We want a tent camp, and we have to direct them 5, 10, 15 minutes down the road to some other camping location. Um, we we love our home at La Plata County Fairgrounds. It's served us really well. This year Thursday night we'll have these dirt drag races. Friday night we have a rodeo that combines horses and bulls and motorcycles. Friday night we have our flat track race. Saturday night we have our motorcycle mini bike mayhem. So the La Plata County Fairgrounds has been a great home, but at one point Woody, he started and owns and operates the Buffalo Chip in Sturgis. He's been a great friend and a partner to a degree with us throughout this whole process. And he was at the rally last year and he said, you've got 2 to 3 years left before you're going to outgrow this venue. Mm-hmm. And I think he's right. So we still have some challenges ahead of us, but when I look back at those first few years and I look at where we are today, I'm so proud of the growth that we've had, and 15,000+ people. It's not the 30 to 40,000 people that it used to be.
That's not always bad though. It's like sometimes more people is just more problems, right? So a good quality, 15,000 people is much better,
And we hear that from a lot of our vendors, and these are big vendors, right? Legend Suspension, Saddleman Seats, like big vendors that do all the big rallies, and they'll tell us, they're like, yeah, we sat at Sturgis for 2 weeks. I couldn't even tell you who I talked to, but I can come down to your event and I can actually get to know our customers and I can have great conversations. I can go on a ride with them. I can go watch the races with them. So it definitely is a lot more intimate, having a little bit of a smaller attendance than some of the bigger rallies in the country.
I actually prefer it, to be honest with you, because, we've gone to a lot of different events and we set up at different rallies and things like that too. And my favorite place to be at any event possible is always going to be in the pits of a race. I love the pits. If it's flat track, if it's motocross, whatever, road racing, that's my favorite place to be because people are working on the bikes and you get to really meet people, right? And I thought you guys kind of did that in a nice kind of way that, you have your pits and everyone can talk to everybody, but then the guys that were doing the wall of death, they were also really kind of approachable, and there wasn't really that, I hate to say that kind of like ego that you get at some of the rallies where there's a bunch of dudes kind of puffing out their chests. And like you were mentioning, there's kind of like that, I don't want to say like that male chauvinistic kind of thing that happens at a lot of Harley rallies, but I didn't get that sense at all. And we kind of talk about that for our coffee shop and the events that we put on. It's like, we want these to be friendly for every rider, male, female, kid, it doesn't matter. We want people to feel like they can come there and not feel like judged or pressured.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
100%.
And that's a hard thing to pull off, especially in, I hate to say the Harley world, but kind of like the Harley, culture.
Yeah.
But, one of the things I've noticed is the 30, 40-year-old demographic of riders, even especially the male riders, they don't want to see that shit anymore.
Yeah.
They're like, I'm over Sturgis. I don't need to see another bikini show. I don't need to see, a bunch of women walking around with just nothing but paint on them, which, that's cool. But like, this younger group of male riders, they just don't seem to be into it like 15, 20 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think that, like I said, I think it's really served us well. And I look at where I am in my life and in my career at this point, and I think one of my biggest responsibilities right now is inspiring that next generation of riders. And really, like, that's like the 14 to 20-year-old. Yep. Like, how do we get them excited about motorcycling to make sure that, when we're old and retired and hopefully riding a trike still or something, that there's still that next generation of riders that get to experience, like, just that joy and that freedom of being out on the open road on a Harley-Davidson motorcycle.
And you guys also did like a female motorcycle show. You had female led bikes, and I was like, that's really cool. You know what I mean? I think they're called the pink
Iron Goddesses.
Iron Goddesses. Right. Yeah. And I was like, that's dope, man. Like more like women attraction. And then, the freestyle guys that you had out, most of those kids were like in their 20s. Let's be honest, like 20s and maybe 30s. So I think you guys do a good job of like hitting all the demographic. I would hate to see it get bigger for me personally, like as a spectator. I like it where it sits right now. I know that's going to be a problem that you guys are going to deal with at some point, but I think it feels very friendly and family friendly for that matter, and very approachable. One of the other things that like I had to brag about, and I told everybody about this last year, was I raced flat track and it was a blast. But one of the funnest things that we got to do last year was on the Sunday, you guys brought Billy Lane.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh man, I was in heaven. My girlfriend and I at the time were like, you know, we're on the side of because we had the pit passes and we were like on the side of the fence and got to meet Billy Lane, talk to him and all of his guys and see those guys roll out in their 1940s motorcycles and run run flat track. I was like, man, this is heaven. You know, it was like a trog event. It was like one of the coolest things I'd ever seen.
Yeah, that was really epic, man. Having his Sons of Speed series here in Durango, Colorado, and having Billy Lane here as a guest, it was really an honor. And I felt the same way. I was sitting up in the little announcer stand for most of the race and just kind of sitting there like pinching myself, like, man, these guys are out there on 1920, 1930 old Harley-Davidson motorcycles ripping around this dirt track, and it was dusty, and it was very raw and it was very authentic, and it wasn't like this big orchestrated, like it was just authentic. It was just pure down in the dirt, good old motorcycle fun, you know?
That was one of my favorite memories from that entire event, you know, which leads us to the next question that I have for you. How are you going to top that this year?
Well, I think adding the dirt drag races on Thursday night is going to be super fun. I'm really excited to see our operations and race director, Heather, who she was the one that probably got you signed up when you raced. She is hosting that Thursday night dirt drag race, and so it's going to be a 3X elimination. So you gotta do 3 passes before you're out. And then, you know, I don't think we're going to be able to top Sons of Speed. That's kind of a unique event. I will also say it was a very expensive event. It's not cheap to get Billy Lane to come down here, and
all those guys are from the East Coast, right?
Yeah,
they had to travel all those bikes, which was impressive.
It was a big investment. I think it was worth it, but unfortunately, we're just financially we're not in a position to be able to do that again. But I think adding the dirt drag races, and then, you know, one of the things we talked about is the flat track races are great. Billy Lane actually posted a video. I don't know if you remember when we put all the inflatable T-Rexes on the mini bikes. Yeah. Well, he posted it on his Instagram. It got like 1 point however many million views. I mean, this thing, like, it's the most viewed video of the entire rally. But the flat track race kind of got a little too much mini bike action in it, and I think a lot of people, myself included, I want to see guys out there on old electric glides and baggers and dynos, like banging handlebars and, you know, taking these heavy Harley-Davidson motorcycles around the track. So we pulled a lot of the mini bikes out, and on Sunday we're gonna have this mini bike mayhem, and so they're gonna have like a figure 8 race course where you're having a, you know, oh shit, is someone coming this way, coming that way?
That's gonna be wild.
They're going to have obstacle courses with like water features and different obstacle features and little, you know, I'm not really supposed to use the word jumps, but little elevated things they got to go over. And so excited to see how that plays out. We will have the Ives brothers back. You had mentioned the Wall of Death, and those guys are just the best. I mean, they are so approachable and so nice, and the way they entertain the crowd. So we'll have the Ball of Steel and the Wall of Death back. I'm really excited. You know, we upped our budget on the live music a little bit this year, and we've got some great artists coming in. We got some surprise guests that I think are pretty well known on a national level that'll be being announced as it gets a little bit closer to the event. But so we've still got a couple big announcements that'll be coming out over the next few weeks that I think you'll find pretty exciting.
Sweet.
Well, I'm pretty stoked because Tyson went last year. I didn't get to go. I went to a classic motorcycle show, and he was just going on and on about it. So I'm looking forward to going and checking it out this year and getting involved in the flat track part of it too. I get to bring my little Italian Harley to race out there, hopefully, and see, you know, what that's like. I'm not putting a dinosaur on. Sorry.
That's okay. You don't have to put a dinosaur on. One thing right now we're doing, Heather's trying to encourage racers to sign up early. I mean, I think 2 years ago, the Saturday of the flat track event, she had like 90 racers like show up saying, I want to race. And like when you're a race promoter and you have 90 people the day of the race trying to sign up, it can be a little overwhelming. But we partnered with Bear from White Knuckler Knives, and he does these guided trips through Nepal. And I think we just announced it yesterday that anyone that pre-registers as a racer gets automatically entered for a drawing for a complimentary trip to go over. And I think it's like 10 days of riding motorcycles in Nepal, which sounds absolutely epic to me. So if you haven't signed up yet, get signed up and maybe you'll win a free trip to Nepal.
How's the response been? Have you already been getting registrations and people signing up?
Oh yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been fantastic. I mean, pre-sale tickets are looking great. The racer sign up is good. I mean, we always want, from a planning perspective, it's always nice to have people sign up ahead of time, but Heather's done this long enough that she also understands that Friday and Saturday she's still going to have a lot of people showing up saying, I want to race, and we'll do our best to figure it out.
Yeah. Make sure you get your AMA registration done too.
Oh, I think I'm still registered.
I hope so.
Yeah.
Because you got to have that. But man, we could probably go on and on about all the cool stories. We don't want to take up too much of your time.
Yeah.
Oh,
You're a busy guy. Do you sit like on a board for the town of Durango and a few things like that too? Is that what you do?
Absolutely not.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
No. I sit on about 6 different advisory boards for Harley-Davidson Motor Company. My wife and I started a foundation called the Ash Foundation that, last year we were able to donate over $35,000 to, and we're really selective in the charities that we pick. We go and we interview them. We go and check out their operations, but it's really for, kids and single moms that are, in need, trying to raise kids on their own. So we look at organizations like Big Brothers Big Sisters, the Boys and Girls Club at Ignacio, and groups that are really serving our community. So I help her a lot with that. And then between the dealership and the rally and 2 kids that are teenagers, and traveling back and forth to Milwaukee at least once a month, it keeps me busy. But guys, I wouldn't trade it for the world. I mean, I wake up every day and, you're talking about how beautiful Durango is. And I mean, every night I drive home and I look out over those mountains and I still got to pinch myself and be like, wow, this is still home. I mean, it's just, it's crazy.
It's beautiful, man. One of the last things we wanted to ask you is, because this is something that we talk about a lot. You brought up next generation and carrying it over, and you've got 2 young sons. And it's like, how do you see the industry sort of going right now for the younger riders? Do you see it picking up or dropping off or just kind of plateauing?
I personally see it picking up. I think when you read a lot of the mainstream media, especially maybe not necessarily motorcycle publications, but it's like, oh, well, the next generation, they're not into motorcycling. I think that's bullshit. They're not buying a brand new $20,000-$30,000 Road Glide off of the showroom floor, but they're buying this broke down Sportster for a couple grand out of a buddy's garage, and they're learning to work on it themselves. When I looked at our chopper show last year on Friday that we do at Choppers Magazine, and I looked at the demographic of these builders that were out there, I mean, there are a lot of 20, 30-year-olds that are building these badass choppers. I put my son on a PW50 when he was 5 years old and got him used to the throttle. And then we moved up to a little Honda CRF where it's got, it didn't have a clutch, but it had 3 gears. So he could start learning to shift through the gears. And so I think one of the interesting things, you see a lot of these kids on these electric bicycles or whatever, and a lot of them are getting in trouble, right? They're riding them on public roads and their police are picking them up. Harley-Davidson, when they launched the Livewire, the electric motorcycle, great bike. I was really just kind of fundamentally against an electric motorcycle. I'm like, no, this is stupid. I remember the first time I rode a Livewire and I was like, oh, that torque. I mean, it's just it's just, holy smokes. I got off that bike. I was like, man, I hate to admit it, but that was really fun. Like
Yeah.
that was a really neat riding experience. I think it was definitely before its time. You know, the
sure.
range, the technology, there's a lot infrastructure wise that has to be built out. But for me, the question I find myself asking myself is like, how do we get these kids that are on these e-bikes and these little off-road electric, if you want to call them motorcycles, how do we get them interested in these gas burning motorcycles? And I don't have a perfect answer for that yet, but I will say the direction that Harley-Davidson Motor Company is going under our new CEO is, I've never been more excited and more encouraged to be a part of this brand than I am under Artie and his leadership teams. Like the vision they've set out. I don't know if y'all have seen any of the commercials lately that Harley's released with the new Deadwood Softail that they just announced last week, the new Super Glide. But, you know, it was just a few years ago, Harley's marketing tagline was "F it, let's ride." Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
But Artie came in and he said, there's two things that need to be in all of our marketing. It's joy and it's swagger. And if you look at the commercials and all the marketing and media that's coming out from the motor company, it's about multi-generational family stories of
Right.
riders passing it down. You know, the little kid, the dad puts the helmet on the little kid, then it shows him as an adult, and then it shows him putting the helmet on his son or daughter, whatever it might be.
Exactly.
And
I mean, arguably one of the best, you know, taglines in motorcycle is Honda, right? You meet the nicest people on a Honda. And it related to that whole family aspect of being out riding, enjoying it, and meeting people. You know, and that's kind of stood the test of time. Where F it, just ride is kind of, it's funny, but it's not
cheap.
really.
It's very, it's like there's no effort involved.
There's no effort. Yeah.
You know, and I think like Trevor, you kind of mentioned it. I've always had a Harley or two. And I think one of the things we can go on a whole tangent about this. I think Harley's always been too ahead of the game. You know, with the electric bike, I love that bike. You know, we rode it at the track and I was like, this is the fastest thing I've ever ridden.
Scary.
It's scary fast. And you know, the Pan America, brilliant idea.
Yeah.
You know, I love the Pan America. I think that's a great idea. And I think sometimes it's hard to change the Harley culture, right? It's that Harley culture that I think sometimes is resistant, and those are the buyers of the bikes. So I think, you know, like you kind of mentioned, getting the younger generation in on affordable, maybe 883s and things like that, or, you know, a smaller version of the Pan America, like that's it. You know, that's a target.
Sure.
We see at the coffee shop, you know, Steve gets kind of like grumpy about it sometimes because we're like old, you know, builders of like Hondas and Triumphs and Harleys and stuff, you know, carbureted. But we see these younger kids come in and they're all on sport bikes, you know, and they're, you know, $900 kind of naked sport bike, but they love it. And they're out in groups of like 30 or 40 other riders, you know, and it's not our place to really say like, this is cool motorcycling or not.
Right.
But they're doing it, you know what I mean? And to get kids in on an affordable bike, I think that's the key.
Yeah. So, you know, two things. One, we are motorcycle enthusiasts at Durango Harley-Davidson. We do every Thursday night from spring through summer. We have a Thursday night ride at 6:30, and we have Triumphs and Ducatis and Spiders, and we love it. Like the fact that you're riding. Do I want you on a Harley? Of course I want you riding a Harley. But the fact you're riding a motorcycle is cool. There's no judgment. There's no one looking down your nose. Oh, you're on a Triumph or a Honda. Who cares? You're on a motorcycle. That's cool. The second thing, you know, I don't know if it'll be later this year or early 2027, but Harley's reintroducing the Sprint. It's 450cc.
That's awesome.
Single cylinder, lightweight bike, new MSRP under $6,000. And then they're also bringing back the Evo air-cooled 883, which is huge. I mean, that's such a big deal. Like, I was a Royal Enfield dealer for a while, and I love Royal Enfield. Unfortunately, under the former regime of the motor company, I had to drop the brand. But we finally will have something to offer that, you know, I train about 250 students through our motorcycle safety training course every year. I don't have a bike to offer them at the dealership.
Right.
Yeah.
But when I have a sub $6,000 450cc Sprint Harley Davidson, and it's got the attitude and the style and the design of a Harley,
Yeah.
and someone can buy that bike for, you know, under $100 a month, like that's great.
I
That's
didn't
what
know
we
about
need
that.
to get that next generation.
Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen the prototypes.
Really?
Yeah, it looks really cool.
That's
it almost
pretty
kind of
cool.
has, I don't want to say like a cafe kind of look, but they're kind of going in that direction.
Is it like a throwback to the original Sprint? No?
Not really.
Not really.
Yeah. But I mean, Triumph, the last time I went over to Scotty's and they were doing the unveiling of all the new bikes, they're all like small 400 cc's
Oh, yeah.
of like the new Thruxton
Definitely.
and whatnot, and Royal Enfield. And I love, like, when I'm teaching somebody how to ride, I always try and put them on a small displacement, lightweight bike that they can, put both feet on the ground. I think that's one of the best things. Are you guys, sorry to switch topics now,
No,
because
you're
we can
good.
go on motorcycles forever. Have you guys thought about doing like a kids race for the rally, like a little Stasic or something like that? Like a flat track?
We want to so bad, but the La Plata County, attorneys and politicians, we love them, right? They're the best.
They're like my tax guy.
They will not allow anyone under the age of 18 to be
What?
on any type of motorized vehicle inside the arena.
Oh my
So
God, that's terrible.
we're having to pick our battles pretty selectively right now. But that is one that we feel is worth fighting for.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
we have so many families that are like, hey, my 13-year-old or my 15-year-old, they want to come out and race in the flat track race. And so does their dad or mom or whatever. And it's a real limitation right now, not being able to allow anyone under the age of 18 to participate. And AMA encourages it,
Yeah,
right? Like we have
yeah.
AMA minor waivers, and
Look at like
AMA wants to
motocross.
see 'em.
Yeah, like you go to modern day motocross, they always have like a little kids event every single time.
Yeah. So we're
What a bummer.
working on it. I love Stasic. My kids both learned on Stasics, and so it's a direction we're pushing really hard to get to, but we've got some pretty big hurdles to jump over before
I
we
bet
can
you
make
if
it
you
happen.
told the town, well, we might not do Four Corners this year, they might change their mind.
We'll
Just
see.
saying.
It's a delicate landscape
Yeah,
to navigate.
it's a dance.
Before we
know.
go too far down that road.
Thank you.
Anyway, Trevor, thanks again. I mean, we really appreciate it. We're super stoked about this event. We'll be up there for this. We're going to bring some coffee in a tent and, park our van up there, I think. But
Yeah, sorry to cut you off, but speaking of which, we'll make sure to bring some bags of coffee for your crew. It's one of the things we like to do.
Yeah.
Every time we go to an event like Bitwell, we'll bring out like 8 bags of coffee because we know the crew has to work hard and they're running on 0 sleep. So we like to provide coffee
yeah.
for all the employees and whatnot.
yeah, thanks, man.
Well, we can't wait to have you guys up here in Durango. Make sure we get a chance to meet up in person.
Absolutely.
And I'm really excited for you to experience your first Four Corners this year.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. Real quickly, tell everybody where to go to find information and what they should do to be ready for it.
All right. So it's a long website domain, but it's spelled out FOUR corners with an S, motorcyclerally.com. 4 corners, motorcyclerally.com. It's got the event schedule on there. It's got the links to the tickets on there. Your Apex ticket, we still got a few of them left. That is definitely the best value as far as any ticket. It gets you into the arena events all 4 nights, into the fairgrounds, Thursday through Sunday. A lot of other special perks and benefits that come with it. But fourcornersmotorcyclerally.com, and then follow us on Instagram and Facebook is the best way to stay on top of all the news that's going to be coming out over the next few weeks.
And when they're up there, they should go visit the Harley shop, right? What's the name of the shop?
And you got to stop by Durango Harley-Davidson. We will have the Harley-Davidson factory demo truck at the fairgrounds this year, and at the dealership this year. We're really focused on, we have the Four Corners Speed Shop that we launched 1.5 years ago. So we've got all of our top end performance vendors, S&S, Motor Witch, like all these great vendors. We're doing a lot of performance specials, and make sure when you're in town to swing by Durango Harley-Davidson and say hi.
Awesome, man. We know you're busy. We really appreciate it. I know it was, taking time out of, your busy schedule to get you on here. So we really, really appreciate it.
Oh, it's been my pleasure, man. I'm so excited to get to visit with you guys, and thanks for having me on as a guest. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Trevor. We look forward to linking up with you out there.
Thanks, man.
Sounds good.
Have a
you.
good
All
one.
right, have a great one, guys.
Take
Take
care.
care.
Well, that was cool, dude.
Yeah, nice guy.
Trevor, what a nice guy, right? Like,
Yeah.
just down to earth. I love talking to people that are just super down to earth, family man, has his priorities together, and easy to talk to. Man.
Yeah.
What a cool dude.
Yeah, without ego.
Yeah,
Like I think, it's just tough when you get into the motorcycle world you know, it's the whole idea of like ego and some of the rallies is just kind of a bummer. And it kind of, you know, it made me appreciate Trevor and the Four Corners rally even that much more when he initially talked about getting it started and not doing like the wet t-shirt contest and the, you know, the pinup stuff and all that kind of things. Like, I don't know. To me, like I always liked rallies and events where kids could go.
Yeah.
And get inspired to get into motorcycling.
Biltwell's the same way, right?
Mm-hmm.
Lots of families, lots of easily approachable people that run it.
Yeah.
You know, everybody's super cool. They're all out there swinging a hammer. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
They're not just sitting back in a trailer drinking beer and collecting a check. They're out there working. I love that.
Yep. Yeah. So anyways, we're excited.
Yeah.
Can't wait to get out there and breathe some fresh air. Speaking of which, I just rode up to Taos this last weekend to go see that Lucero show.
Good time of year to go because it's monsoon season.
Yeah.
So you probably stayed overcast,
I would imagine. Overcast and rode up with some of the guys and it was probably about 68 degrees.
That's perfect, man.
So once we got out of
Beautiful.
Santa Fe and like, you know, you take that right past Espanola, it was like the weather was perfect, man. And I love that back road, the high road up at Taos. It was beautiful.
That's cool.
Yeah. Good riding time.
Did you go around through Angel Fire or just straight up through Chimayo to Taos?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
So you
then
didn't take
down.
the long way.
No. Got to see my grandmother, hang out with her, which is kind of
Dude, how's she doing?
You know, dementia it's an interesting thing, dude.
Really?
Yeah.
Well,
have you ever met anybody with dementia?
Not really, no.
Okay.
I mean, like I've known people, but I've never like interacted with them. You know what I mean? To see how that actually plays out. But I mean, I've known your grandma.
Yeah, she's still
quite
sharp.
a while.
Yeah,
you know?
she's sharp, but she'll say something and then repeat it like an hour later, which is tricky. But she could sing a song in Spanish.
Yeah.
That she knew as a child. So
she was singing to you.
Yeah, it was just, you know, it's good to go up, and I love going up north to Taos and seeing the family and just getting, you know, some fresh air. She's
a firecracker, dude.
So on top of that, you know, we've had a bunch of different motorcycle events coming up, and Suka's coming up. You excited?
Yeah, I'm excited to go watch you do this.
You want to do it?
I'm not going to ride. No, I'm going to go check it out.
Do you want to tell everyone what you just did?
What I just did?
Mm-hmm. You picked up a brand new dirt bike.
Well, yeah. I mean,
are you not supposed to talk about it?
No. It's totally fine. Yeah, I did. I was giving you a hard time because I'd been talking about getting a new Triumph dirt bike since at least the beginning of motocross season. And I've been, you know, excited about doing it, trying to find a used one. And then one day you show up and you're like, no, you called me actually. And you're like, hey, guess where I am? And I'm like, I don't know. And you're like, I'm at Scott's and I'm buying a new Triumph dirt bike. And I'm like, oh, must be nice.
Yeah. I was like, they're running a special.
Nice. Yeah.
Trust me. If it wasn't for that 0% interest and, you know, talking Jesse down a couple grand, like there's no way I would have done it.
Yeah. And I was like, oh man, I really want that bike. And I had to like think about it for a while. And I went by and talked to Scott and those guys were like, well, we'll give you the same deal we gave Tyson, but we'll give it to you for $1 less so that you can say you got it for less than Tyson. I said, sold. And I signed the contract and I took it home and I freaking love that bike. As I kind of knew I was going to. Without
riding it.
No, because I had ridden that demo that Scott took out when you and I went with him
like a
year and a half ago.
Yeah, great bike, right?
Yeah.
I mean, let's be honest, compared to the RM.
Yeah, it's a whole different bike. I mean, whole different class, right? Like it's so easy to ride. I mean, I could go on and on. I mean, if you haven't ridden it, you have to ride it because there's so many different aspects to that bike compared to any other dirt bike that I've ever ridden, mostly because all I've ridden is vintage bikes, that it's like driving a Cadillac, you know. It's amazing. I just rode so hard that first day that I went out that I was sore for like 2 days afterwards because I was just like riding and pushing myself.
Mm-hmm. And you did all the maintenance?
Not yet. Okay.
Not yet. Well, you better do that.
Yeah.
They're you know,
I'm going to do one more before
so you're going to go past the hour?
It'll just barely be past it. But I was talking to Jesse about it, and he's like, dude, don't worry about it.
Yeah, but you know
Jesse's
Jesse.
like, don't worry about it. It's fine.
Yeah, you know Jesse. He's like, I've never done valves in my entire life. You're like, okay, Jesse. Easy for you to say. You work here.
Yeah.
But, you know, that's one of the things I really kind of realized about the new dirt bikes is they're so good.
Mm-hmm.
but they are very technical.
Yeah.
You know, and I've been going down the rabbit hole of like all the different things you should be doing after every ride. And, you know, they highly recommend changing oil every hour after the ride, and filters and all that kind of stuff. And, you know, just the cleaning of the bike and checking suspension and all those kind of things, and bearings and whatnot. Like, they're great bikes, but you do have to do the work on them.
For sure.
You know?
I'm very happy with it. I'm going to take it out again, do one more decent hard ride, and then do the oil change and check the valves and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But I guess we're Team Triumph now.
Yeah. I mean, always have been kind of to a degree, but what's your hesitation of taking it to the track?
Well, I've never really ridden a motocross track. The first time I rode was with you when we went out to Buckman, you know, a real motocross track. And I don't know. I'm a little nervous about it. I'll be totally honest. I mean, I'm not used to riding, you know, massive jumps like that and clearing, you know, several rollers and all that.
Sure.
I just kind of want to see what you think of it first.
Yeah, I'm sure it's massive.
I mean, I lean, you know, when it comes to motocross stuff, I really do like lean toward what you think about that stuff, because that's not really in my wheelhouse.
Yeah. I mean,
so I want to see what you do.
I'm sure it's massive and it's scary, but you know, I don't think that there's a time when I get on a bike and I'm not a little scared to begin with. It doesn't matter if it's the Triumph or the Harley or the Dyna. It doesn't matter. Like, I'm always a little nervous when I get on a bike. I always usually have some butterflies right off the bat. But once I get, like, you know, personally, like once I get 10, 15 minutes into it, then like all that kind of goes away. Yeah.
I mean, of course. I mean, I think everybody kind of is. But when you and I went to Buckman, we had it to ourselves. So it was nice. I could go out and I could, you know, make mistakes, and I could kind of get a sight lap in and really see what it felt like. I'm a little nervous about riding with like 30, 40 people right off the bat. You know what I mean? And not knowing the track at all. So I want to get out there, but I do want to go kind of see it and have you ride it and tell me what you think. And
I mean, I'm excited because it's also a night race or night ride. And, man, it's so hot here right now that like nighttime is going to be perfect. You know, I love night riding.
Yeah.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah. I can't wait to see it. I hope it goes well and they keep doing it and there's a good turnout and everybody has a good time.
Yeah.
Because if we can keep doing it, it'd be nice to ride into fall with some experience on that bike and be able to go out there in the evening and be awesome, man.
I mean, I'd love to get out there at least once a week.
Yeah.
That'd be great. And get my stamina up and everything.
What else we got, man? We picked up the frame for the charity bike, right?
The 175, yeah.
Stephen Kerr did that for us, and he did a great job. Really nice sandblasting, fixed some cracks, welded some cracks for us, and powder coated the frame. Yeah. I'm excited to get into that.
Yeah, we need to get into that. I also need to get on my flat track bike and get that thing kind of up and running.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, the YouTube series, that's been going well, and we're wrapping up all the mayhem that took place at Bitwell this year. So make sure you guys watch that. It's a wild story.
Yeah. Thank you all for listening to the podcast. We appreciate you following. Share it with people. We'd like to grow our audience a little bit just because we have great people on here with really good stories, and we want to share that.
We got the best people out here.
We do have the best people.
I mean, if you think about it, like, let's be honest here.
Yeah.
We've gotten some pretty wild interviews just by reaching out. I mean, Trevor from Four Corners. We had the guys from Biltwell that put that on.
Yep.
You know, we had the guy from Torque the other week, and then we have Norman Reedus, you know, and all the big stars.
Yeah,
so.
yeah, we're working on Keanu Reeves right now. So Keanu, if you're listening to this, you gotta. And
they're, you know, the cool thing about Keanu and the Team Arch right now is they're putting a bike on for like team, not MotoGP. But they came out with a new race prototype.
No way.
Yeah. You haven't seen it?
I haven't seen it. No.
Oh man, this thing looks sharp.
Does it really?
It's still a V-twin motor, right?
Under the Arch brand?
Yeah, but they're doing a smaller frame. I mean, the whole bike looks really cool. And I'm not sure if they're trying to do Moto America or what class they're going to be put in, but man, it is a sharp looking bike. We're really pushing for.
I'll take a look at it.
For GP style racing.
Cool. I'll pull it up. Our roastery is cranking away, so if you are interested in getting some of our fresh roasted coffee, you can order it online. You can stop into the roastery here in Albuquerque, or just visit us through Instagram or Facebook or our website, and we'll give you more information about it. But thank you all for listening to the podcast. Ride safe, and we'll see you on the next ride.
Down the way, not too far, an old-time rockabilly coffee bar. Wrecking machine tucked in the back, Elvis singing about a Cadillac. I'm on a BSA, been riding all day. Leather's on, goggles too, Triumph and I don't know what you wanna do. My baby's on a Vincent, has let's ride. So let's ride. So let's ride. So let's ride. Come on, turn up. I got love begins. American rocker is a matter of fact.